Dear folks, welcome to Let's Talk Buses via Bus Users, UK personal experience with issues relating to a bus route, and what happens when my patience ran out, how the operator dealt with that, how useless with facts charity bus users were, and what was said to the MP once they made contact with the operator, ultimately where things are. This is going to be one of the deepest dives in some time, so please pause the video every so often for food, drink, and a trip to the toilet. It is only fair to bring you up to speed with the situation, without the need of immediately clicking the other videos first. This deep dive, similarly to the other 3 bus users themed videos, this will talk about 1. The incidents that lead to stalemate, and 2. How bus users were as little help as possible towards me, leaving me with not an iota of help, why not only I disengage, and 3. After countless instances of can't answer that from Karsten Hunter at Bus Users, even the MP wanted a reply better than that, and to get some specificities such as current status on potential ban and overall insight, and what was the outcome of that itself specifically. The heart of the issue is something that all would have had to endure, and that is the bus driving by you although you are at the bus stop and at the right stop for that service. My occasion was late at night on a street is known for antisocial behavior, and being there more time than necessary was rubbing me up the wrong way, and angered me. Whilst waiting, I did a vlog initially called Every Bus Passenger's Worst Nightmare, then turned it into one of many of my wall of fail videos, featuring their new performance-based nickname, although bus operator did not appreciate the video, enclosed with the complaint email. This is where they told me to go to Bus Users without explaining what bus users do or what the benefit would be for me, or even the operator. I got sent blindly to Bus Users, and lost as much as bus operator wanted me to. It would be interesting to see what they would say if I was the bus driver/operator, aka Boots being on the other feet. So, let's start my reply, addressing what operator had said to MP, and also needs to say, operator had attempted to copy me in, but alas, I have had operator blocked right from the offset so no communication allegations can occur, and this is for all ears. Dear bus operator, I write in regards to your reply to MP's email in mid-July 2025. Given what was said about me all of a sudden and none of this was ever made known to bus users, I still have right to reply to any of it unfettered. From reading the email, you have all of a sudden brought up 8 points about me and my conduct, but also the vlog video that was linked to operator as part of the complaint regarding the driver non-observing bus stop. All points in 23/7's email to MP had never been made known to bus users, and therefore all points are illegitimate as they did not exist until midway through July 2025. I would have thought this would have been done on your first contact with bus users first, since it was clear you wanted bus users to act as a second chastiser you had done previously regarding the video, hide the fact there were things causing resentment, and for them not to be interested in seeing that this is a non-usual situation that features a man of disability was driven by being left feeling alarmed, and the street in question is I was left on has known antisocial and drugs issues. Even up to January 2026, when complaints about my treatment with bus users were raised, the only cause for concern you had of me was the 3-word nickname that was perfectly descriptive of witnessed aggressive behavior, times by 2 from your staff member, from the same driver on the urban bus, and then what I had personally to endure at the bus stop featuring another driver. When it came reporting my personal incident, yes, I did have a vlog of, and extreme language was used, but none of this extremely abusive language as you purported. Anyone could see there was provocation and resentment on my incident itself, and resentment from witnessing incidents featuring the passenger and the fellow road user. Given what you thought of my email and YouTube link you had cut direct reply with me, what does that even mean? You had told me go to bus users, you were the first to communicate with them, I was 3 days behind and you will know this. They took your side, surprise, surprise. Hannah Hutchison-Leask tried to give me a telling off, but I have disregarded it as bus users or Hannah absolutely are not enforcement bodies. However, I take your words on more seriously, as you and I were the parties within a dispute and she can do something else with herself. She conversely said if I had any other problems with the service, do not delay in getting in touch. Email March 12, 2025. This is where I started not using any of your services, although I had not been told anything from yourselves. I wanted to make sure maximum space was had until I knew one way or another, and preventing awkward on-bus scenarios or police being called to a matter which I had been snared into by being on a bus where I should have been told not to but being duped into being upon. This is called false arrest and can get driver and any other staff legally in trouble under this, and also entrapment. Time passes to May 2025, where I have questions to ask, needing several things to be clarified about my case. A set of circumstances that is not boilerplate or typical. I was matched with Karsten Hunter, and it be clear that notes were placed upon my file, and she was giving me dog shit responses, from instructions how to answer me basing on the notes placed on the case, under the constant reply of, "Dear Andrew, thank you for your email. I can't answer that. Kind regards, Karsten Hunter, Complaints Administrator." She did not answer one of several I would consider relevant and serious points needing to be clarified. This non-answering anything made me detach from bus users in July 2025, and from the start of this dispute, the MP has been seeing this matter from its infancy and was learning the incident in real time. Early July 2025 is where I informally disengage with bus users by the form of no longer maintaining contact with either Karsten Hunter, Hannah Leask, or anyone else from bus users, and only restarted contact in January 2026 to raise complaints about how I was served by bus users. Clearly, Hannah did not like being complained about and showed attitude and threatening behavior in reply by email, and due to this, actions were alerted towards Lydia Horbury, and a pre-action letter was served to Hannah herself advising behavior was not appropriate for a manager, and the use of bias, although the most important issue was Hannah's non-exemplary attitude. Hannah Leask is a program manager for Scotland's bus users, UK, operation. MP has seen communications from the infancy as she has been copied in and read as things were sent. Crucially to say, my last communication on email and phone to yourselves was March 12, 2025, and all social media I have blocked you upon, and was surprised seeing the threat of police action if I didn't stop contacting you, although as said last communication from me to you was March 2025. I do not have TikTok nor Instagram, so to say I had trolled you on all social media within the reply you sent to MP is inaccurate, and the person who typed this did not even stop to get the facts straight. Something so serious on a matter like this. Just type, an irrelevant internet phrase throwing mud at a wall and see if any of it sticks. Truthfully, if I exhibited any of the purported behavior above or below, MP would have not had any hesitation in throwing the case out, not interacting with and leaving me to use Citizens Advice Bureau. July 2025 is when MP made direct contact with you, and you answered her initial email, asking was there a ban on, and had my complaint email to you had been shared with the driver force, as I personally seen attitude off a driver who regularly staffs the supported local service, attitude of which did not exist until the dispute started. Normally he is a very warm fellow who I'd say to be a delight to be part of your driver force. But in this day he rolled his eyes at me and kept his head away from me, although I was only getting my elderly mother up to the bus so she gets on safely. This stark change in attitude made me highly suspect my email had been shared. Answering the first question, yes, I had been banned, and also yes, the email had been shared with the driver force, so that the drivers know something had happened, also to keep the drivers safe. How histrionic you know yourselves, this is just an irate customer, and your drivers are very much physically and mentally able to serve Glasgow and other areas you serve. They are not physically vulnerable, and can deal with passengers who are hostile, e.g., throwing problematic customers off the service in question, and then returning to normal duties within seconds. Also to note, this is a one-off incident, and for me to be treated like this shows how customers are regarded as by parent company. Now, many companies' IT policy tell staff not to click links of any sort, unless they were expecting, and I am very surprised to see this was not part of your current policy. Even I have seen this on my own IT policy. It is clear, given with the incidents of driver aggression towards elderly customers and a fellow road user, resentment was growing, and then when it was time for me to have my incident, my reaction was result of a culmination of seen incidents and one experienced incident, and unfortunately this is where patience wore thin and I said what I did. I am only stating facts that I am on the disability register under the Mental Health Act and can produce paperwork to corroborate this. This can be shown at any time. If boots were on the opposite feet, how would you react to drivers being aggressive towards the public, including passengers? Then you as well being inconvenienced directly by being driven by with no consideration of stopping late at night, knowing the next bus is going to be a sizable time away if you did not choose alternative routes instead, and given the pre-said risks the street in question has. Was your reply some kind of sick joke to one-up me for the nickname to your company, which seems to be a good fit, given the antics of the last email? Remember at the start of this dispute, right at the point where in email you had aired your displeasure for the YouTube video link, I took the video down and even deleted the local copy that resided on the laptop. I deleted these as 1. You had fully addressed the situation with the driver. 2. You had aired disapproval for it and to reduce tensions that the video caused. Now, if I was really abusive, that video would have stayed put and the views would have collected. I acknowledged the fact you had dealt with the driver in-house alongside your current policies. Also, alongside the spirit of reducing tensions and preventing further communications going from one side or another, I was able to get all social media that you have, compare it to the social media I have, and block all known social media connections to promote distance and even to prevent any vexatious social media-related allegations. At that point in March 2025, where you told me to go to bus users, although it was not being told what bus users do, what could I expect and what would come out of it for you at any time, and it would have been nice to know what I was getting into and whether it was going to bring a satisfactory outcome for all. Whether or not doing this communication to bus users were going to be an absolute waste of time. Oh, hindsight. I learnt you had connected with them first with your set of events, aka the Woe Be Me script, and being only annoyed at me for using the performance-based nickname, basing on what I had to suffer and the 2 incidents I had to witness. You don't want to acknowledge how that could have stored up resentment in me and how that resentment and provocation could have ultimately resulted in how I reacted to what happened. As you know from bus users, they did not take me on due to the nickname given by me for this company. Name was not even for any person of the company, needs to be said again, in reflection of what I had to witness and personally be suffering to, however I could make contact back if any further incident happened. This is how shallow a depth of understanding Hannah Leask had of the situation. Her perspective of the complaint was the bus turned up 3 minutes early and I was angry for this. Reality was it was a non-observance and the being early is not the biggest matter. Between May and July 2025, I was asking bus users crucial questions such as was I banned from company's bus services? A reasonable question. And more, in this time I had a worker called Karsten Hunter who would not provide anything further than, "Dear Mr. Van Nan, thank you for your email. I cannot answer that. Regards, Karsten Hunter." Remember, MP has been kept up to date right from the start of this, and due to the stonewalling from Karsten, during contact with bus users at all stages, I did not contact you behind their back or otherwise. If they have been contacting you regarding the case and it has not been of your approval, then that is a matter entirely between yourself and bus users. I disengaged with bus users, and this is where MP asked me whether it would be an idea for her to contact you and hopefully get some insight and crucial information that was still to be furnished to me, like whether or not I was banned or not and what jurisdictions are involved. Email 1 from MP had been answered yes, banned, and yes, you had shared an email with full driver force, which I know is 300. 100 staff in central operation and 200 drivers from Upper Scotland, the Isles, and also the Lower Scotland, arguably 200 of which did not need to have this sent to them, and I recognized this was an act of brute revenge to one-up me, and this could be a GDPR infraction. The second email from MP was ducked, and I had said to her there was an MD email address found on your complaints webpage. Email 3 was received by MP. I recognized you had tried to copy me into this, however, even on email. You are blocked and will not be unblocked. Regarding what was listed in your email middle of July, being the latest reply about me. Given the seriousness, I am surprised you did not contact me directly about concerns prior, where you would have had absolute right to, if what you said had even a morsel of truth. Given the fact absolutely nothing of what was in the email existed until the middle July 2025, makes anything said doubtful and dubious. You had my email, Facebook, a phone number or two, and any concerns could have been spoken of through the above. Why didn't it? Well, it is absolutely clear the reply to the MP on the July 23rd, instead of being an instrument of clarity, you had turned it into a platform of revenge for me wanting to get clarity on points and using a legally sound option of talking to my MP. Nothing at all illegal about having the MP write to you. After unsuccessful contact through bus users, the charity, what other options but have MP contact do we have? What else do you suggest given I have disconnected with bus users due to their bias and given the fact they didn't even give one piece of advice, let alone help my anyway, failing the basics of what they say they do? There is a duty to send me other help if bus users is non-case relevant or something they cannot help upon. I have learned a lot about bus users, and the fact is operators such as you pay for their services and in turn become paymaster, and if they know what is good for them, they listen and act to your interests first and stuff the bus user. If they do otherwise and they don't get pay at the end of the month, and in worst case scenario they could lose operators from their portfolio. Why could bus users not answer something so simple relating to the case and something so important keeping us two parties separate? Surely even answered a yes or no to the ban questions could have been able to be answered. I was able to see what was sent through MP, and in a 3-word summary I can sum it up by the phrase lacking crucial evidence, backing up any of the points raised, and it looks like it was written to act revenge, and for a professional bus company, this is a sharp fall from grace, and below will help articulate what I mean. Why are there two versions of my conduct you give? Bus users have one, and you know that is the disapproval of your performance-based nickname, and MP has a very different set of events. People who do this are liars, and the fact that 8 different points were raised about my conduct, but not at any point something was raised to help support watching you bring to MP's attention. Just remember MP was on the case from infancy and knows every stage of the way without being told what to think. The lack of evidence such as dates, timestamps, driver reports, route incident allegedly happened shows you felt cornered by MP wanting to get much needed specificities so that everyone is on the right page and no accidental usages of any of your services, under being malinformed. The email in question had 8 points from you about alleged conduct from me. None of the 8 points had anything to back, support, or base what was said in each point. I will discuss only a small amount of the points, as these were significantly more relevant than the others, but nonetheless had nothing to back up the below points. Significant cause for concern, nothing quotes or otherwise were provided to support what these significant concerns were. You suggested that I had filmed a bus driver but did not provide what service, which direction, what did the driver say, if this did happen, what day or time did this happen, why? Because this flat out did not happen. If anything of the sort happened, the driver, well within his right, would have came out of the cab and ended the situation. Also, remember the passengers are very observant indeed and would not have tolerated this for 1 second, and intervened themselves, most likely chucking me off the bus unceremoniously and probably causing superficial injury. Trust me, whatever way and whoever dealt with the situation, it would have came to a very quick end. It is clear by what I say, this didn't happen. I am wondering something. When I made you aware of that aggressive driver situation, I made the emails to yourselves regarding as each incident happened, and to right I had my phone out, but only for sending emails across to you. I wonder, when you brought the driver in for discipline you showed CCTV, and due to the fact I was sitting in the front of the Evora in each occasion, has something been twisted trying to say I was filming him, when in actual fact I was sending you emails, like using the fact I was in the front seat and seeing the incident unfold and type email to you in real time as it unfolds against me? Trust me, although I am a YouTuber, I do not film bus drivers, and anything parent company-wise I have no interest in filming on or for. Also, my phone is in a clear case which has my thumb over the camera and that day, and at no point was it directed any angle. The funny thing is that you turned things round by stating you had filmed me. Damn right you filmed me. Also, fellow road users and all passengers of the bus from start of day to returning the bus to the depot, filming the depot staff, cleaners, networking engineers, fuelers, security, car wash staff, technicians who are bringing PSVAR into a reality, occasional VOSA staff and depot management, the general ballpark of 4,000 persons in total each day. Go you. Regarding trolling that was alleged. Again, nothing was provided to help support what was being said. No quotes from anything, no screenshots, and nothing anything in place mitigating this behavior. Again, did not do. Also, you claimed this was trolling across all social media. I do not have Instagram, nor TikTok, nor Blue Sky. So your claim of across all social media is automatically null and void. This allegation was brought within days of me saying to MP an email saying to her I had anything parent company related blocked. With this timescale described above, it is understandable to feel that sentence had been twisted into a lie with the intent to throw her off the situation and to intimidate her, which I have to denounce. A company but with the person who typed has a 1 in 2 chance of being a man acting in a threatening way towards a woman who is an MP. My how the grace falls. I hope MD of this company does not endorse this way of interacting one with another. I would like to think he would like to have this situation move in a more positive direction for all, not just for me, not just for MP, but also being advantageous for your company as well. The most basic phones have blocking facilities irrespective if it is Android, iPhone, home handsets, and the same goes with office phones such as Cisco, Avaya, and Hi-Hi, or even IP phone systems such as the one used by Teleperformance. And if you haven't utilized this to date, then that is your problem, but another something I did not do. What is purported takes time and bodily energy, of which I do not have, as the work I do is extremely physically demanding but also look after family, and if I did indulge in such stupidity, then either of which duty will suffer. I feel hurt to see such lies and reckless disregard for the truth, and throwing out extreme points with nothing backing up each, being poured out upon a former customer. Just go get even on him. You had quoted from the video of contention in this email, although by that juncture of 23rd of July, this makes me think you had ripped a copy from the internet. Yes, the video was for the public, however downloading a copy is not allowed and no permission was given, even if it is for showing drivers. This is like me taking pictures within the confines of one of your depots. You knew I had no copy at all, even on the offline laptop, and you could make up quotes, or in this case, modify quotes to make them worse than they were, and no, I could not back myself up with the video, proving what I really said, and what I didn't, also what you dream I would have said. Generally, society will listen to companies, rather than regular Joe blogs. Put down any tripe and you've got the masses subservient to whatever said. Not today. You purported that I, starting quote, sympathize with people assaulting bus drivers, ending quote. The reality is you had cut out the front of that sentence where I said, well, if that is how they treat the passengers, the drivers deserve the abuse they get. I sympathize with anyone who wants to assault drivers. This was said on the video mentioned and had no live audience and had a small view count at the point I took the video down. I have to highlight what you done with this quote, modifying it. If you were guilt-free, I can say to you, you would have left quote as is, and this was only done to get me closer to trouble, when the quote was only an opinion with no imminency nor incident specifics. Brandenburg test states for something to have potential of criminality, it has to be scored against imminency and incident specifics, B equals I. In this case, the Brandenburg score would be 0, no imminency, and regarding hearing the word assault, it needs reminding that word assault itself is non-specific and more, not one further reference to assault or specifics of were discussed. So no incident planned or imminency descriptions of actions were meted out. So this clears the Brandenburg test of 0. The precious quote was only said under extreme frustration of what had happened. But it needs to be taken into mind I must have been harboring resentment regarding the 2 incidents I had to witness, then for the 3rd incident I have to be personally affected by. Excessive contact was brought up by yourselves. Again, you not at any point specified what you meant, let alone was this through emails, phone, or socials. I have looked back as far as 2018 in email systems I own, and I can say there was frequent contact 2018-2020, and a lot of this was surrounding the eastbound buses from Upper Scotland not picking up / driving by from an Iceland to Glasgow bus station, although CityLink admit they should serve stop if passengers signal intent. And if this contact was doubtful or dubious, Declan McKenna or Kieran Doherty at CityLink would not have honored what I was saying, and neither local councillors, Elspeth Kerr and Bill Kidd. All of those correspondence is still on my email system and can be opened for reading. You had made comment about something being doubtful and dubious, and I would not like to think you are making reference about an incident of sexual harassment that was on board the 1815 Upper Scotland to Glasgow service, coming from a drunken older male passenger, and when I got off the bus at an Island, by speaking to other customers alighting at the same place, they seen him acting inappropriately. This led me to talk to CityLink the next day, and from there got a statement from me and told me also to contact Police Scotland, where I had my statement there too, and was told that Argyll Roads Policing Unit would take this on as it is a roads matter. The case has been given to PC Snedden of Garpu based at Garshake. If anyone from your company thinks this is a fake, then they are ill in the wrong job and ruthlessly insensitive. I do not think anyone of that narrow-mindedness should work in the public with such a horrid attitude. Unfortunately, sexual mistreatment is rising and happening to folk more and more on public transport, so it would be nice not to treat persons who have been victims of horrid situations like they are liars. Something like that can happen to anyone, including you, given the amount of perverts being released from lenient sentencing and ending up on public transport. So, where was your contact with me in regards to what happened in 2021? Theoretically said, the only proof you'd take on would have been of the guy with his cock in his hand in real time, or even Spunky seating on that bus. But who would have the stomach to film a public masturbator? Would CCTV be a better camera all round? I asked the police officer to organize acquiring the on-bus CCTV and quoted the registration since I know it. If contact with excessive, why did you not send an email saying of such? Why, if excessive contact was so much a problem to your company, why have you not made upper limits of communication known either on your own website and across the social platforms you own? It's not much of an effort to get your admin worker to log into the official website and make this visible through the complaints page, and then in turn for the social pages. I am surprised this had not been thought of. As said, there was no communication either through email, phone, or social media to say I was getting close to any upper limit anywhere, and this was just brought up to MP to make me look unhinged. Professional. The topic of trolling was brought up again. In this case, the same as above, albeit words here and there changed to make the reader be fooled into spending time reading something twice over and not feel duped, and this faded into discussion into abusive behavior used over the phone to staff. No quote, no timestamp, not even a small voice recording to even confirm if the voice matched me or not. No reference to what this alleged call was even about. Again, this did not happen. For this to even happen, a person's physiology has to change significantly, and the body would have to get very much on edge. Blood pressure raising, animated and unpredictable body behavior, shouting, swearing, sweating are just a few examples if this existed. Which, well, regarding money, within Glasgow, your urban services provide the single fare at £2.90 last I read. And since March 2025, fare in any form such as cash/card or concessionary cards has been lost off to alternative operations. Back when things were non-problematic, I would use 25 urban buses a week, 4 buses a day Monday to Friday, and 3 buses on a Saturday and 2 on a Sunday. 25 2.90 equals £72.50. Year 72.5051 equals £3,697.50, and the year's Upper Scotland bus equals £26.12, totaling £312 and final total of £4,009.50. I agree, not much from a company's eyes, however. It could bring in a seasonal worker with the phones, cleaning, admin, or help a driver through his training. But hey, it is going somewhere else, I guess. Not into liars' hands. Could make small difference. Now on to whether or not was there a ban. In previous email to MP, they did say so, however did not go into any specifics of this, and this is crucial to report. Only when MP directly emailed the parent company, this is the first occasion of which we finally hear if there was or not a ban. Parent company had called it a Scotland-wide ban. This Scotland-wide ban was for words, and this is a first-time offense, and it is clear that it is non-proportionate, no matter what you say. This was an act of emotional reaction and revenge, deliberately to avenge the name given to the company. A performance-relevant nickname, and your proportionate punishment was imposed upon me to make my work-life travel harder than it should be, and I also feel that this is parent company making attempt at making my YouTube life harder in regards to how I can get about Scotland. Trust me, I have alternate ways no matter where I go. The parent company has nothing to do with me, and I have no connection with the parent company, and seeing from above, the further I keep the better. There was making references about services I am restricted upon, as part of the Scotland-wide ban with the parent company. The sub-company is one of a few sub-brands that belong to parent company. Sub-companies do not have legal jurisdiction same way as parent companies, and therefore the email to MP is not worth the paper it is on, as in this the email was not worth opening. It is clear that routes such as Glasgow Suburban, the Upper Scotland area services, and the services within North of England are run 100% yours, and you have control of who accesses your product, including imposing bans on. However, after day 365 of the ban, you either have to let it go or make contact with a court and try getting something more longer lasting. However, if the judge gets acknowledgement there has been conduct on your company's behalf causing cause of concern for us about conduct, they may throw the whole thing out. You made reference about me being banned from express services as part of your Scotland-wide ban. However, Scottish CityLink provides the ticket machines on services and routes and timetables, and you provide coach and driver for a long line of coach services which can be seen in Buchanan Bus Station and the overnight 900 services, and a few dupe services given at times of high peak. However, the routes and ticket machines are of CityLink's. Summing up this, it is a 50-50th split, but Scottish CityLink ultimately own the route, the fare structures, stopping patterns, and how it is run, including bans. You cannot go over their heads without irritating them. Sure, you can collaborate, but you cannot go over their heads. Even bus users would know of this. Whilst you imply in the email about hostile behavior, I have been able to make reference in this contact to several, and there is more to come. I bring to the table examples, whereas you failed in every occasion where it would have been expected to produce, so that your points are represented and have the hardest impact, but no. Never mind. As said, whilst you had moaned about hostile behavior, at least I did not stoop to threaten an MP. This is exemplified by using threats of legal warfare and sending this as part of that saddening email to MP. It was put to MP that no overturn will be considered. However, neither MP or I asked of this, and MP only inquired to you for clarifications, as you know yourself things were left with no proper answer, and from the way I have been treated. When the ban does release, I do not see myself using your services the way I have been treated, and having to also witness the email you had threatened MP for doing her job, and that part is engaging with community constituents and businesses. You have no platform to call others hostile or abusive when this is going on. Apparently, if MP or I don't stop being contacted, you would be in no other position but to call the police. Well, you do have other options, such as properly utilizing charity bus users' services such as mediation, rather than giving them the platform to give me a second telling off, where I can take one and learn from it, which I would happily take up in a heartbeat. But you would prefer making threats of lawfare towards MPs who may have been involved in getting you the upgrades to the Glasgow Suburban network and the new MCV Evora buses and drivers, and you'd prefer throwing people who disagree or critique the company and services it provides boilerplate legal threats or trips to the newspapers such as Herald and Scotsman and Glasgow Live. Police Scotland have lost 43% of their staff since 2010, and each officer is laden with serious work and would not appreciate hearing bus user versus operator dispute. As in this instance, bus users were underutilized, making sure your doubtful woe be me rant was heard of first, causing them to deny me service, and if there was a tad more democracy, I would have fully participated in the services advised of and would have worked through the problems each side had into a healthier place to be upon in comparison to where we sit currently. Due to legal fair threats being lashed out towards MP and I by being shown your reply by MP, I actually took the time to informally speak to a policeman named Officer Paul Savage, and he confirmed what I know. This is a civil matter and police will not get involved in this matter, and told me to make contact with lawyers. I did, and did so with 20+ lawyers such as Digby Brown, Miller Samuel Hills Brown, Complete Clarity Solicitors, and speaking to Grant O'Neill from Complete Clarity Solicitors, Murray Law, Ian C. McCarthy, and more. I was told by 2 solicitors the ban is null and void. due to the fact there has been no start day discussed, no end date, and the jurisdictions of this bar is not legally possible. You do have 365 days to have me restricted, and at day 366 you either have to let this go or find a lawyer and have the lawyer take this into a courtroom. However, would they like to know the driver of the non-observance spotted me in an Iceland 10:15 p.m. on the July 10th, 2025 blasting his horn at me like a twat from across Great Western Road as I am waiting to be signaled into Herschel Street by traffic lights? I ignored his attention-seeking antics. There was an odd occurrence which has never happened prior or after, where a West Coast Motors van parked right outside the house on August 27, 2025, and he looked round, meaningfully recognizing where he was looking at, and this was our front door, and this could be identified by the nameplate and number stickers. He next left the street and returned 3 hours later and left with due speed. This incident was witnessed by a neighbor within the block, a neighbor from next door, and the 2 family members within our residence. And I was approached by a neighbor, asking what was going on with the white and red bus operator van. I gave them your number to get direct reply to the question from looking at Google. There are no drivers living in the street or neighboring streets. As said, this has not recurred once since. We have doorbell CCTV still to this day of the incident and can provide when requested. We even had the video prepared onto USB for the moment if police were going to knock the door and pass on with the statement too. When I first read the email, I wondered if it was made by A.I, due to the sheer amount of points raised, but with nothing supporting or otherwise proving what was said. Mournfully empty of any proof, even a quote of what was said, bus number, direction of bus, call duration, etc. Also, the fact at the bottom of the email the ending sentiment "yours sincerely sub-company name" was copied twice, showing there was copying and pasting going on at the slightest. MP made contact with MD through the complaints page of your website, and I am conscious MD may have been knowing of the incident, but also he may have been involved in directing the reply, and it has to be asked, what does he really know of the situation? Or is he going on another's estimation like a sheep? Pasting the end of the email twice is apparent, and writing styles rapidly changing throughout also suggests this has been written by 2 people due to the lack of things within the conversation that would help bolster each allegation, and something so deficient of things to prove what is being said end up being lies, utter lies. The quality of the reply comparing to what was being asked by MP is beneath the ground and has been a sincere waste of time. Reading, I would have thought by you conversing with the MP truth would have been there throughout, even if there are situations that would have made the parent company look foolish or show that the company was underperforming. Companies can be helped even if they are underperforming and also have a positive end effect for the affected customers. I would have been very much in favor of mediation and any other support to bring things to a much more positive light for all parties. Can I say what happened with the sexual harassment on that bus 2021 is absolutely not your drivers or the sub-companies, nor the parent company's fault. Overarching right across the situation, it is clear that you had applied the phrase, whatever is said will be used against you, damn right. Didn't it? It is purest hypocrisy to whack down on me for using the phrase, but your drivers have used the C word on duty and been heard up at the terminus at Cathedral Street. Pot in the kettle black. You have to admit the C word has a massive versatility to it, and Glaswegians use it in such wide range of said. Scotland does the same, and same with cities of England. You may as well tell your drivers off and then go to the rest of the United Kingdom before clawing down on me. I would have, though context in this scenario would have been applicable, but nah. This was enough justification to justify overreach, stemming from a complete inability to deal with criticism and complaints from serious matters. You cannot resist from painting me up as an abusive monster, Fair Play MD or route manager. However, if that was true, why have I not been having any issues with any operators, including First Bus? And if I was such a shite example of a traveling passenger, why do I do intercity travel with big operators such as National Express, Flixbus with absolutely no issue, even as much as getting a chat with the drivers at the motorway services or bus station with absolutely no feelings of anger, edginess, or other enmity? Remember, you had a driver called James. He was very much extrovert but dedicated to the job and friendly, a real asset to your force. Very observant to all customers and willing to have a laugh with customers and willing to help wherever he could. He had electric energy, and even if you got on the bus feeling like shit, he got you smiling at least. I honestly hope the best wherever he is now. I travel back and forth from England with ease, and if I was what you purport, then I would be riding into issues, but there are none. What happened with your bus driver is a one-off, number one, and there clearly had been some provoking by his actions, lack of action, whatever you call it. MD or route manager, what is done there above rubs the customers up the wrong way. Why the hell do I have the ability to have meaningful positive connections with first bus drivers if what you purport to be a reality? It's pointless to lash down this ban as you have to pass me on the streets mainly in Glasgow, and the idea of bans was to promote distance between two parties and reduce tension. Did I have to tell you this? An operator of decades doesn't know this? The term rinky-dink comes to mind. To digress, I am aware of the situation facing you in East Dunbartonshire and people trying to physically blockade the bus in a form of protest. The protesters' actions are beyond stupid, lacking any worst-case scenario insight and reckless. It is clear that they have not seen the videos on YouTube where people in other countries did something similar and the handbrake failed, bus rolled forward, and they went under with either serious injuries or life-changing injuries for their causes of the day. The road itself, both sides of the road worth of traffic can clear with no incident. However, like any road, there can be pinch points where the road is busier than normal, but even with professional driving and patience, this can also clear. The remedy of tensions is clear. Instead of lobbing boilerplate police threats and throwing critics into newspapers, that would just rub the residents or other involved up the wrong way. You or the residents can write to the IR local MP asking for a night at a local community center where both parties can sit down and talk, bringing up all issues and talk through them to a happier outcome for all. Boilerplate threats of police and lawfare do not get listened to the public, nor does it with me. That needs to have access for residents and traffic, including yourselves. And although you say you won't be moving, let it be said, you are no arbiter, and that arbitership lies with the MP and the traffic commissioner. If residents write to their own MP and in turn MP writes to the TCO, next TCO hypothetically rules in route modifications or removal, then unfortunately what the TCO says goes, and that is that. Bus users will serve no use on this matter, as this is issues with fellow road users and residents. Also, you have newly acquired the Hospital City Centre Easterhouse route, and if you think I am a problem, then you are crudely mistaken. I have seen interactions on board, passenger to passenger, and in another case passenger towards bus driver, and even just being an innocent unconnected passenger was making me feel anxious and even wanted to leave the service early so I did not have to witness more. One hint of a known issue under Stagecoach: free ride attempts and drunken behavior. I wonder who was involved in writing the reply to MP, as I see two writing styles existing where normally if one person is writing it, is one writing style throughout, and moving over I wonder between the two what was their knowledge base upon the issue, as not even collectively there was enough knowledge or one quotable example E.G location where anything happened, quote of speech from any interaction, to prop up or bolster what was being said. Does bus users know of this lack of applied knowledge used in communicating to MPs? Separately, why are there two differing versions of events? Bus users get one and MP gets something that writes me up as some unhinged, dangerous piece of shit. If I did that myself, I'd be fast-tracked to all the newspapers in the nation. Someone likes newspapers, I hear. I think it's the MD/CEO whatever is preferred this day. There are things you are not wanting bus users to know, especially the latter of communication. I also wonder if you know what trolling is, because trolling is internet-based where people comments place snarky, usually non-offensive remarks and sentiments disagreeing with E.G Climate Charity's Facebook posts, and people who go directly for people such as Michelle McManus are perpetrating acts of abuse, basing on weight, performances of art, and other protected characteristics. This can even lead into a hate crime. Another example is where a gentleman who was cycling and was branded bike nonce. That is not only abusive but defamatory. A disgruntled bus passenger having to tell you of this? Wow. I am not perfect, but certainly not any of what the email purports. I have a job and a clean record history to maintain, and some of lies about me can be categorized as criminal conduct, if ever happened. Would like to see MD or route manager have to endure what I did without saying anything, let alone emit a curse or ill-tempered opinion of me. What has been leveled against me is nothing but absolute shite, with the hope someone would be vulnerable and hive-mind enough to listen. For so many things being leveled against me but nothing at any point raised, bolstering what you say makes it apparent that you had to slander my name in direct revenge for the nickname given for the company and nit at any time aimed towards anyone belonging to parent company. You have not even stopped to consider the video of concern is gone, and I have followed your advice. Not only that, I do not use any of your services. What else do you want me to do, in all seriousness? The best thing is that I have emails from you honoring concerns I had raised to you, all on the email system ready for printing, regarding issues like buses being overcapacitated, the issues with the driver being aggressive towards bus passengers and road users, and also I have a collection of emails from Kieran Doherty, Declan McKenna, and also Scottish City Link itself honoring issues I had brought to them, and it is clear if they did not agree there were issues they would not have honored the situations. Also on at least 2 occasions the replying person in each case told me recent to my email correspondence, Scottish City Link had interacted with sub-company on a piece of work focusing on customer service, and this was in the year 2018. I also had an email Sarah J. from sub-company who stated that she was going to send my email correspondence over to the relevant department. This again was in 2018. If none of these correspondence was right, the communication would have been stopped, straight and simple. Although I have been critical in this correspondence, I do wish the best in the East Dunbartonshire situation for it to close down as quickly as it had arisen, with a better understanding of the residents and a better respect of all parties. I would welcome any suggestion of help, including mediation provided by bus users. However, due to the chronic can't answer that being sent to me by Karsten can't be bothered. Hunter, I disengaged informally in July 2025 and disengaged fully with bus users in March 2026, and files being deleted after direct contact with new CEO Lydia Horbury. I am happy to explore any conversation that could transform the stagnant stalemate into something better for both you and myself. This year-plus timescale has caused a lot of stress. Surely use of buses is meant to be easy, with your company absolutely bloody not. This has caused upset and physical matters such as anxiety, stress-induced vomiting, and the constant necessity of planning my day and route round, avoiding all sub-company services, keeping and maintaining the distance, preventing any further tension between you and I. As said, I won't. Due to my loss of confidence in this company, I will find it very difficult to trust your services again. Due to this, I won't use service until direct conversations route manager or other manager, even MD, but I don't think I would have communication will ever happen, but if it did, I would welcome having that. Street Speech says I have been done over, so thank you so much. This is my reply to your email, which anyone has the right to under this circumstance without threats of lawfare, especially given the brevity of what was discussed and accused of me. I hope this communication finds you well. Kind regards, Andrew. Well, that was something, folks, and thank you for taking the time and listen. You have no idea how this situation has stressed me out over the approximate time span of 15 months, from March 2025. And sadly, the stalemate is exactly where it left off back July 23, 2025, and I still use alternative routes and services, and I will not deviate from this until I have had black and white information stating ban have lifted, or even have face-to-face conversation stating this, and even then I am very nervous if this outcome arisen, and to be honest, I am settled in using other travel methods. Pro tip, folks, do not use bus users if you had an issue with a bus or bus company. Talk to the operator in concern, and usually they do get back and they are great. But if the reply is unsatisfactory, do not be tempted to use bus users, or if the bus company tells you to engage with bus users, tell them to no. Thanks again, folks. Unfortunately, my case is chronic and no positive end being available. Such is life.